Hello.
Can you share my screen, please?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I can see you guys now. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Manoj. Good evening, Saideepa. Good evening, Adisu, Abhishek, Priyanka. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Can you guys hear me? Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the second day of React Essentials. So I hope you all guys are fine. And I really hope that all of you that are joining here have already watched the first session. And if not, please, after today's session, go again and watch the first session as well. So good evening, everyone. Good evening, Sirisha. Good evening, Hanila. Good evening, guys. Welcome back to the second day, everyone. Okay, so now, without using any more time, let's directly get started. So yesterday we talked about how to install, like what exactly is React, how it works, and then we installed a React project, and we already understood the file structure. We also understood how the file structure works. Now we know what is node modules. Now we know what is this public folder, what is this src folder. So now we know all of that. Okay, so yesterday we didn't code a lot. We only talked about the file structure, how to install things, and how to start with React, right? Now today we are actually going to see all about components. So we'll see how components works, how to create component, how to create a class based component, how to create a functional component, and then we'll also go ahead and see what are props, and if we get time today only, we'll also talk about states. So let's see how much we can cover in the next 1 hour. Okay, I have a doubt, I have a doubt, like you install directly in VS Code. What Varikuti? Can you tell me, Venkatesh, what exactly you're talking about here? What am I installing? What to install what? React.js? Yes, you can also do it directly in VS Code. You can also do it normally in your normal command prompt. You can do it anywhere. You can do it anywhere. Normally what I do is to create projects, I use my command prompt, and then I open my project in VS Code, and then I execute the React based commands for that, running React and doing all sorts of stuff. But normally for installing projects, I do it in my own normal command prompt instead of doing it in VS Code. Okay, like that's a process that I follow. But I know a lot of people also directly use the VS Code's terminal to install React project. So you can also do that. It's totally fine. Okay, is it cleared? Okay, so now guys, let's again execute this project first. So let's go and do npm start. Okay, let it start. It will take around like 30 seconds maybe. It's running for the first time today, so let it run. Okay, here we go. It is open, and here we go. We have this welcome to React, right? So that's cool. So guys, yesterday we talked about that we by default get one component. So by default in our React project, we get one component. That was what? The app component. That is your main component. That means every component that you will create for now, you have to put all of that in the app component. An app component goes in where? Into your HTML file, right? That index.html that we know that React create SPAs, single page application. And the only page that runs here is the index.html, which is in the public folder. And your app component is basically pushed there. Okay, the output of your app component is pushed there, and you have only one main component, that is app, and all the other components that you're going to create, you have to push them into the app component. So today we're going to see all of that. Okay guys, so are we ready, everyone? Are we excited? All the 50 people watching, are we ready? Are we excited? Can we start, guys? Everyone, can we start? So we'll talk about everything: components, props, states. Okay, okay, that's great. So now, yesterday we talked about components. Let's just revisit that again. What exactly is a component? Okay, so as I told you, that React follows component based approach. So React is nothing but an interface building framework. It helps you to create really great UIs or interfaces. Okay, so what React says is divide your web page into components. So divide your whole web page into different pieces, and a single piece can be considered as a component. Like if you divide your web page, like in your web page you might have header, banner, then your product section, your footer section. So what React says, divide everything. Okay, divide everything and consider like the header or the footer or the banner, consider them as single components. So a component is nothing but a piece of your web page. a piece of your UI. That's it. Created like completely in isolation, created separately. Why? So that you can reuse it anytime you want. So every component, every piece of your UI here, you create it separately. So you create your header component separately, you create your banner component separately, you create your footer component separately. So every piece you create separately, and that single piece is considered as a component. And every component has its own functionality, has its own data. So if you create a header component, it will have its own functionality, its own data. The banner component will have its own functionality, own data. The footer component will have its own functionality, own data. Okay. And if you want to use the footer component 10 times, you can use it. If you want to use the banner component 10 times, you can use it. That is the first advantage of creating components, so that you can reuse them anytime you want, because they have all been created separately. They don't depend on each other. They are completely isolated, and you can like use them whenever you want, join them wherever you want. Okay. So by saying that, let's go ahead and let's create our first component. So in here, to create a component, it's really simple. What you do is go in your src folder and just create a new file. Okay. So let's call it header. For now, guys, let's call it header. So here we go. Let's say header dot js. So it's nothing but a JS file. But yeah, in a single JS file, you can also have multiple components. But what I follow is I always follow a structure like this. Like in a single JS file, I'm going to create a single component only. I'm not going to create multiple components in a single file. So that by reading a file only, I can understand that it's a component. But yes, it's fine. You can create multiple components in a single file. But I don't do that. So in the header.js, I'm going to have my header component. Okay. So let's create a component. And in this, I'm going to show you how to create a component functionally. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to create a functional component. It's very simple. So what you do is you just go ahead and write function. Okay. And then name of your component. It's name of a function, but also the name of your component. So I want to name it header. Then that's it. And then inside this, you can have a return. And here we go. Inside this, you can write the HTML that you want to return. So wherever you use header component, this is the HTML that will be available there. Okay. Now remember, guys, one important thing, that from a return, you can only return a single parent element. That means you cannot return multiple divs like this. You should never do this. That means, as I told you, that okay, fine, you should always return a single parent element. So you can create a div and then create your multiple elements inside that div. That means there should be a single parent. That's what React says. So if you're creating a component and if you're returning some HTML for that component, you should always return it as a single element. So you should always have a single parent. Now inside this, you can have anything. So you can have everything like, okay, fine, I can go ahead and put a H1 and I can say header. And then you can have a P in which you can simply have a dummy text, anything, whatever you want. Simple. Okay. So always every component should return a single parent, and inside that you can have your multiple elements. Is it clear, everyone? So that's how you simply create a component. That's how simple it is. See, function, okay, then your component name or a function name. So programmatically is a function name, but according to React is your component name. And then return and whatever HTML this component wants to give back. So this is nothing but the HTML of this component. So wherever you will use this component, this is the HTML that will be available there. Very simple. And then now, if you want to use it anywhere, okay, now if you want to use this component anywhere in your application, you have to import it. But to import anything, the first thing that you have to do is export it. Now, not only component, it can be anything. It can be a variable, it can be a function. So if you want to use any variable or a function from some other file into some other file, you have to export it so that it can be imported anywhere. So let's export this particular function or the component so that we can use it anywhere. So what you have to do for that is you simply have to write export default and the component name. That's it. So since I've exported it, now I can import it anywhere and use it. So now let's go in app component and let's try to import it. And yeah, one more thing, let's remove this import that we are not using. Okay, guys. So now let's focus. Everyone, please focus. How to import? It's very simple. How to import a component? You have to write import, then the component name. So what is my component name? Component name is what I'm exporting. So this is header. It's my component name and it is what I'm exporting. So I have to use the same thing here. header. And from, okay, it is already here, but I'm going to write it from the start. Dot slash, it's basically you have to write your file name here, or the path of your file from where you're importing this component. So header. One important thing, you don't have to write .js here. No need to write that. React understands that if it is a component, it is coming from a JS file. So no need to write .js. That's it. Here we go. Now you have actually imported a component. Is it clear? But yeah, you cannot see that in output. See? You cannot. You still have welcome to React because of this app component. I cannot see the output of this component till now because you have only imported it. You have not used it. You have to render that component. Okay, Abhishek, it's a normal, what do you say, computer term. Dot slash means current folder. Dot slash means, so in a path term, so in path or in navigation, dot slash means current folder. Okay, so as you can see, my app.js is also in the src folder. My header.js is also in the src folder. So I'm importing the header.js in my app.js. So I'm trying to import something from a file that is in the same folder. So dot slash means same folder. Is it clear? Current directory. It's normal computer like path traveling term. So you have slash. That means, what do you say? If you're traveling forward, you go for slashes. If you're traveling backward, you use dot dot. If you want to specify current folder, we use only dot slash. Is it cleared, Abhishek? So to learn this, you can do one thing. You can just go ahead and just search something on YouTube like how to navigate in your PC through command prompt. You'll understand it very simply. There are only 3 to 4 commands that you have to learn for this. So it's very basic. I would suggest you guys to go ahead and learn this if you don't know it. Okay. So now, guys, we have imported it, and now let's see how to integrate a component. So now we have imported the header component, but as I told you, that app is main. So you have to integrate the header component inside the app so that you can see it. So here we go. After this H1, so to integrate or to render or to use a component, you have to use it like a tag. You have to use it like a normal HTML tag. So let's go header, and that's it. That's done. See? So this is how you render a component or use the component, whatever you want to say it. You can, normally we call it rendering. Okay. So that's it. So now wherever you have like wherever you mention this header component, wherever you mention this header tag, at the exact same place, this HTML will be available. So wherever I go and put this header tag, everywhere the HTML that is inside the header component will be available. That's it. Let's see. Save it. And here we go. See that? Header and lorem ipsum coming because of this. And I have used it here, right? Is it cleared, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? Hari Krishna is asking why merge stack is best. First of all, see, no one says merge stack is best. But yeah, it's good. It's amazing. So it's nothing like merge stack is best, Hari Krishna. No. It's like, yeah, one of the best. It's good. It uses React. It is fast. It is flexible. But mean stack is also good. It's again one of the best. Okay, so you cannot say merge stack is the best. It depends on in which company you're working, in which country you use, right? Because it also depends on in which environment you work. What are people using there? So if in my environment everyone is using React, then yeah, I might also use React because that is what people are working on, right? In my company, if people are using React, I have to learn React. So it depends. So there's nothing like best. You cannot use that term, but you can say it depends on the environment, in the city, in the company you work in, or you work with, or the people you work with. It influences what technology you're going to use. Is that cleared? Hari Krishnan. So yeah, it is one of the best, but I'm not going to say it's the best. Okay, cool. So here we go, guys. We have used a component, and the best part is you can reuse it. So I can go ahead and just put it like this. See, here we go. Now you have it 2 times. So you have used the same component twice without writing the code twice. That's the best part. Is it cleared, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? Is there any confusion? Everyone, are we cleared? Please tell me, all the 50 people. Are we cleared? Okay. So that's how you do it. That's how easy it is to create components. Okay. Now I'm also going to show you how to create a class-based component. Can you suggest to me what are the extensions required for React.js? Actually, I don't use anything. I normally use the JavaScript snippets. That's it. I don't use any specific extension for React. So I don't think you need anything. You can search for it, but normally you don't need anything. If you normally use a JavaScript, what do you say, extension, that is enough. Okay, because React is at the end JavaScript as only. So that's fine. Is it clear, Varikuti? So I even don't use anything specific to React. I use the JavaScript extension only. That's it. Okay, guys, but before moving ahead, so I wanted to show you how to create a class component. But before moving ahead, I want to talk about something very important. Now, see, from the start, I'm saying that this is HTML, HTML, HTML. Okay, it was only for so that you guys can understand. But now I'm going to reveal the truth. Okay, it looks like HTML. It looks exactly like HTML. But remember, guys, it is not HTML. The HTML that you see here is actually considered as JSX. These are actually JavaScript elements. These are actually JavaScript elements, but they are abstracted in such a way so that you can create them just like normal HTML. So that React should not get tough for you. Like if I tell you create all your elements using JavaScript, it will be tough for us. Document.create element and everything. So what they are doing is they have given you a way in which you write it like HTML. Internally, we will convert them to JS elements. But remember, guys, these all are JS elements. Okay, so this is JSX. JavaScript XML is the full form. So this is all JS elements. They are not your normal HTML. Okay, so the HTML that you put here is called as JSX. It looks like HTML for us because they have made it easy so that we can write it like HTML. But internally, they are JavaScript elements. Is that clear? So from now on, I'm not going to call it HTML. I'm going to call it JSX. But yeah, it looks exactly like HTML. It's for our help, right? They are helping us so that we don't have to create JS elements. We can write it like normal HTML, but internally they are all JS elements. Okay, remember that. So this is what JSX means. So you have heard it, right? React uses JSX, JSX. This is what JSX is. The lookalike of HTML. Okay, that's cool then. Now let's also learn how to create a class component. So that's how you create a functional component, guys. Simple, a function, then return whatever JSX you want. Now let's see how to create a class component. It's again very simple. So let's go a new file because I told you that for a new component, I always create a new file. Let me call it banner. Okay, banner.js. Now here you have to import one thing. See, in functional component, you don't have to import anything to create a component. When you're creating a class component, you have to import one thing. Okay, and that is import component from React. So you have to import this thing. Import a component class from React package. So this is the React package, React library, right? I told you we're going to use React library. So this is the React library that gives us the component class. Now what we have to do is we have to create our own class. Okay, and I'm going to name it banner as well because this is the name of my component. So I have named my file banner. I'm also naming my component banner so that it's easier for me to understand. By reading the file name, I can tell what is my component name. That's why I always try to keep my component name and my file name same. And that's why I always create a single component in a single file so that it's always easy for me. By reading the file name, I can tell which component is inside because that's the structure I follow. So class banner extends component, the class that you have imported. Basically, your banner class will get all the features from the component class and it will behave like a normal component. And that's it. Sorted. And now inside this, you have to use a function called as render. It's important. You have to use it. Okay, so render. And inside that render now, you can go ahead and write your return, just like your normal return. And again, your JSX. So yes, definitely, if you're using a class, you have to create a function. So render function is, guys, a mandatory thing. If you're creating a component, you have to use the render function. If you're creating a class-based component, you have to use the render function because that is the function that renders the JSX for you. In functional component, it's fine. You can directly write return because your component is itself a function. Okay. Here, your component is a class. So you have to create a function that can be called. So that's why they have given us a render function. And inside that, go ahead and write. And again, same thing. It should have a single parent, and then after that, whatever you want. So let me just write class component example. Save it. Now again, first thing, we can't see it because we have to export it and import it. Because see, anything that is on the app component can be only seen. Other than that, it cannot be seen. Directly or indirectly, it should be on the app component. It should be rendered on the app component. Okay. So first thing is, let's export this. Again, same thing. Export default and the name of the component, that is what? Banner. See guys, right now I'm naming them anything. Okay. But you can name it properly. And in the last day, when we create a project, I'll name them properly. Right now I'm literally naming them anything. Okay. So header, banner, whatever you want. So all the banner code I can write here. Okay, and now let's go and let's import the banner component here. Now you guys tell me how to import it. Everyone, come on. How can I import the banner component? We have it, the component. We have exported it. So now you guys tell me, how can I import? Come on, quick answer. Everyone, how can I import the banner component? Guys, everyone, come on. I'm waiting for the answer. Import banner from /banner. Yes, exactly. That's correct. So import your class name or the component name. So that is my banner. Yeah, and the other things always come, right? So that's what VS Code is helping us, right? That's how VS Code is helping us, and that's cool. And now then, let's render it. So banner. Let's see and let's save and see it. Here we go. Class component example. That's amazing, right? We got it. Is it clear, everyone? So that's how things are working here. So this is an example of a functional component, okay, where you simply create a function, okay, and then return and then your JSX. And this is an example of a class component where you have to import this thing. Remember to import this class component class from the React library, and then create your own class that is inheriting the component class. And then render function is very important, guys. Okay, render function is very important. And then here we go. I'm going to keep both the examples, okay, so that you can understand. Because see, a lot of people use class based component, a lot of people use functional component, and a lot of people from you might be from object oriented background as well. That's why I'm showing them both, and you can choose anything you want. Both are fine, both are good. Never think that functional components are better than class or classes are better than functions. No, previously class components were better than functions, okay, but now functions also have a lot of features. So both are fine. Depending on your needs or depending on your preference, you can go for anything. Okay, so that's how you create components, guys. Very easy, very simple, right? Really easy. Now then, let me show you how to integrate data in the components. Okay, let me show you how to integrate data in your component. What if I want to like add some data in my JSX? How can I do that? Okay, so for that, first of all, let's create a variable. When to use class component? Okay, as I told Priyanka Takalkar, no, it's not like when to use. It again is a personal preference. Both provide the same features, both provide the same set of functionalities in different ways. Okay, so it again depends on the preference. Is it clear, Priyanka? It's not like where there will be a situation where you will use class or functional. It's not like that. You can use both of them anywhere. It's just like, see why they are giving this both features. See, because a lot of people might come from an object oriented background. They might be coming from a Java background or C# background, and they, when they come to JavaScript, and if they say functions doing everything, they will be confused. That's why for them we have these kind of features, and for people who are already coming from JavaScript, for them there is functional component. So yeah, both are fine, both are better. You can use anything you want, but again, there will be no situation where you have to decide I should go for what. No, there will be no situation like this. Okay, it again is like personal preference. Previously functional components were not that great, so people used to always go for class components, but now both are great. Okay, now then guys, let's go ahead and let's see how to integrate some data. So for that, let's create some data. Okay, so let me create a variable, and now I'm assuming that you might know a little bit of JavaScript. Okay, so let me go ahead and let's create a variable called name, in which I'm going to put a value as, let's say, let's upgrade, like that. Okay, guys, we're learning an important aspect, how to integrate variable information in our JSX. How to do that? It's very simple, guys. It's really very simple. What you can do is simply go ahead, wherever in your JSX you want to use JavaScript, variables or functionalities or anything, whenever in your JSX you want to use some JavaScript, always remember to put curly braces. Now inside this curly braces, you can write JS code. So you can actually mix JSX and JavaScript together. So you write your JSX, wherever you want to write JavaScript, wherever you want to use something related to JavaScript, go ahead and put curly braces and then you can use it. For now, it's a simple variable. So let's go ahead and write name. That's it. Simple, easy, name. Let's see if it is working, guys. Here we go. See that? Let's upgrade. Let's upgrade. Now in this, because we are using component two times, right? Header and header. So that's why we're getting let's upgrade twice. But that's it. At least now we know, right? How to use the variable data. Okay. So that's how I do it. Same in the term of like same in the case of what do you say class component. Again, if I have a variable here, right? So should I create a constructor or I can create a global variable actually. So again, let name equals, let me call Saurabh. Okay, and yeah, we should not use let in a class component. If you're creating a global variable, you should never use let. Okay, it's basic JavaScript rule. You don't have to worry about that right now. And then again, go here in P, use it directly. Name. Let me see if it is working. Oh, there's some issue. What is it? Okay, I cannot use it like this. Will this work? Or do I have to go for a constructor now then? Let's see if this is working. Yep, now it's working. So basically it's a class component. So you have to go with this dot name. You cannot use your variables directly. You have to go with this dot name. That means simple. This is nothing but that points to the current context. It's basically a current class's object. That's it. So if you're following a class-based approach, guys, this is what you have to do. So there are a few things that you have to follow in class-based approach. That's why people always go for a functional component, because there it's really simple. You don't have to take the headache of following the object-oriented principles. Here you have to follow the object-oriented principles. Okay, so here we go. Our variable, and then to use it, this dot name. You cannot go for directly name. So save it now, and let's see if it is working, guys. And here we go. See, Saurabh. Okay, you can see it, right? So these two are my functional components and this is my class component. So here we go. Our data is here. I hope it is cleared, guys. Okay, I zoomed it out. I hope all of this is cleared. Okay, now let's stop the class component for a second and let's only focus on this. Okay, don't worry, I'll show you examples for both. Don't worry about it. Now, when you use class component, is it not want to put before the name, put let? When you use a class component, you don't have to use let when you're creating a variable in the class. For example, if you like have a function here, and if you're creating a variable inside a function, then you can use it. Then it's fine. But if you're doing it in class, you don't have to. Is it clear, Sarma? So if you're creating a variable inside a function in a class, you can go for let and everything. But if you're directly creating inside the class, not inside a function, directly inside the class, then you should not use it. Is it clear, Sarma? Okay, I hope that's understandable. Now then, let's move ahead. Okay, now the next thing I want to talk about today is props. Very important. Okay, in React, one of the like most important topics, but one of the most easiest as well. So what are props? Okay, so props stands for can we use var instead? No. See, first of all, let Priyanka, let is basically created in replacement for var. Okay, let is better than var. Okay, it's just in class components you don't have to. There is no need. That's what I'm saying. Sarma, Priyanka, there is no need. So if there is no need, why to use var or let at all? There is no need of using that. That's what is blocking us, right? Don't use this. It's not required here. Is it cleared, Priyanka? And var let is used to like let is been created, let has been created to replace var. So it's not like that if let is not allowed, you should use var. No, let is for replacement of var. And you guys also should stop using var nowadays, Go for let and const, right? Is the ES6 specification. Stop using var. Slowly stop like using your habit of using var. Stop it. Okay, it will be good for you in the future. Okay, now guys, let's move ahead. So yeah, we were talking about what? We were talking about props. Okay, so props are nothing but properties. Okay, so every component that you create in React has properties. They all have properties, and that is what we call as props. But normally, what we use props for is we use props to pass data from component to component. We use props to pass data from component to component. Is that clear? But props are nothing but properties of a component. Props are nothing but properties of a component. So when you create a component, when you render a component, you can pass properties into it. And the main aim of passing properties is to pass data. Okay, for example, see, when you create a tag, when you create a tag like let's say input, okay, there is a property that you use, right? There's an attribute that you use named as type. This attribute can be also considered as a property of an input tag. Simple, right? So same way, whatever components you create, okay, wherever you're rendering them, you can also pass any properties in them, any properties, because they are your own components. You can pass any properties. They don't have any fixed properties. So I can pass like let's say I call data. So data equals to, and I can pass a string or a number or whatever I want. So I can actually pass it like this: data equals to let's say America, something like that. See, now this data is nothing but a property of the header component, and this is what you consider as a props. So this is one prop that you are creating. This is one prop that you are creating. But yeah, all the component also have few default properties, but we don't have to worry about them right now. Okay, so now I have created the header component and I'm passing a property to it that is named as data, and the value of that property is America. But the best thing is, how can I access that in my component? How can I access that? So remember guys, in your functional component, you have object available called as props. So you have to call it props only. Okay, that's the standard that we follow. So props, and whatever properties you pass in your component are all available inside this. So see, in this case, you're passing the data property, right? It is also available in this object. So to use it, you can do this. See, create one more P, and to use it, simply go ahead and write props dot the property name, that is data. That's it. So inside this props object, see, understand it in two parts. First, every component has a props object, and props object holds all the properties related to that component. And every component has some default properties. Okay, and all the properties are stored in the props object. And you can also pass external properties. Wherever you're rendering the component, you can pass some external properties. Okay, so this is one external property I'm passing to that component. So this is also the property of the header component now, and it is also available in same props in the props object. So understand in two parts. First, every component has properties. All the properties are stored in props object. Okay, and you can also pass external properties. Okay, so yeah, when you're using external properties, you're doing nothing but you're simply passing some data into the component. So see, right now we are in the app component. We are using the header component in the app component. So we are passing data from where? So we are in the app component and we are passing a property. So we are in the app component and we are passing the data, and that data will be available inside the header component. That means we simply passed a data from one component to the other component. So that's why we use props. We can use props for passing of data from one component to other component. See, so that's how you have to divide the explanation. First, understand what are props, then understand the need, and then understand the use. Okay, if you go online, they will directly tell you props are used for passing data from one component to other component, but you'll get confused. Are they made for that? So no, you have to understand what exactly are props. Yes, that is one use. Okay, but props hold the properties of a component. Okay, and this is also considered as a property, and you can use this to pass data as well. So let's see if you're getting it. Save it, and let's go to the browser. Here we go. See, we get America. For the next one, we don't get it. Why we don't get it for the next one? Because for the next one, we didn't pass it. You can also pass it. Go ahead. Data, but yeah, you can pass something else here now if you want. Let's say we pass South Africa, something like that. So different value for the same prop. So header also has data prop. So both the components have data prop, but the value changes. So here we go. For the first one, we have America. For the next one, we have South Africa. So you can also pass content. You can also change content. You can pass different content to the same component while reusing them. Is it cleared, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? Please tell me. Everyone, are we getting cleared with all of this? I want everyone to answer. So far, so good. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. See, don't worry. We're going to go in deep. Don't worry. Whatever we are learning, even if we are learning only the fundamentals, we'll go in deep and understand everything. So don't worry about it. Okay. Now, as I told you, okay, let me open a Jamboard again. Okay, because I want to explain something as well. So let me open a Jamboard. Okay. As I told you, that every component that you create should be rendered on the app component, because that is your main component. But I also told you that it can be direct or indirect. That means think of it like this. Let's say this is your app component. Okay, this is your app component, and you create some other components like this. You create a header component. Okay, you create a nav component. You create a banner component, and you create, let's say, a footer component. So let's say you create components like this. Now you can put footer component directly into app. You can put banner component directly into app. You can put header component directly into app. But you can also do this. You can put nav component into the header component and then header to the app. So this nav component is not directly going to the app, but yeah, it is going to the header. It is being rendered inside the header. It is being used inside the header, and then header is being used inside the app. So it can be direct or indirect, but at the end, everything should be ending up at the app component, because that is your main one. Okay, so that's what I want to tell you. I'll also give you a live example for this. So let's go. Okay, right now, see, right now we are not styling anything, so everything is looking very lame and simple, but don't worry, we'll style it in future. Okay, so let's create one more component, guys. Okay, let's create one more component. So let's call it nav. Why not? Let's call it nav. So here we go. Let's call it nav.js. And it's going to be a functional component. So very simple. Function nav, like that. And then again what? Return. And inside that, there's only a single element I want to return. So let's say I return only h2. And then let's say I put home, something like that. Simple. Now I can load it on the header one. So I can go here and I can put, okay, first I have to import it. So how can I import it? So see guys, now I'm not integrating nav directly to app component. No, I am putting nav inside header, and then header is going inside app. So first of all, let's import it. Wherever you, oh yeah, we also forgot to export it, right? Let's go and export it. We forgot that. So export nav. Oh, sorry, export default nav. Save it. Now let's import it. So import nav from /nav. Save it and let's use it here. That's it. Normal. Now save it and let's see if we get the output. Now see, on app, we are not using nav. We are using header. But inside header, we are using nav. Okay, so let's see if we get the output of this home. There we go. See, home inside the first header, home inside the second header as well. So indirect way of rendering component. But yeah, everything is rendering component. I just wanted to show you that it's not like that you have to put everything on the app. So don't get confused if I say everything should be on the app. These components can be integrated together, but at the end, the main one should end on the app component. That is what it is important. That is what is very important. Okay, guys. So I hope all of these things are cleared now. These were the basics. This is how you create a component and how you pass props. And every component has props. Now, see, in this case, I'm not using any props of nav component, or I'm not even passing any prop. But if I pass it, I can first of all write the props here, and then I can use it internally anywhere. Normally, I'm not going to do it because I'm not passing any props, and I don't want to use any internal or inbuilt props. Okay. So that is how you create a component. So you also have this one, class component, and these two are examples of functional components. And that's how you can reuse your components. So I hope all of this is like really clear to you guys. Okay. And normally you cannot manipulate props. So prop values are read only. That means you don't change them. Okay. That means you don't change them. So you cannot change prop values. You pass it from here, and from inside the component, you cannot change this value. So never try to change it. Okay. We never change it. So prop values are read only. You never change them. I hope it is cleared, everyone. I really hope it is cleared. And props can be used to pass. One use. This is one use. Don't think that props are only used for this. This is one use. Passing data from one component to the other component or inside the component. Okay, that's cool. That's easy. Now then, without using any more time, let's talk about the last thing for today. Again, very important. And we are only going to talk about that today because we can't use it. For that, then I have to introduce a hook. Let's see if we get time. I'll also introduce that as well. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about today is something called as state. First of all, have you guys ever heard of state? Have you guys ever heard of state, everyone? If you have, give me any answers that you know. Wrong, right, doesn't matter. Just give me any answer. If you have heard of state, what is state according to you? If you've heard of it, if you have not, don't worry, just wait for some time. U state is the function, right? Golden age. So we have to wait. I'm just asking what is state? Give me the understanding of what you know about state. Give me the understanding. No, that's fine. We'll wait. Anyone else? Come on, guys, try it. If you have heard of it, just tell me whatever you know. Come on. One more minute, then I'll start. Not one more minute, 10 more seconds. Okay. I think all of you people are fairly new, so that's fine. Let me introduce you. Let me introduce state to you guys. Information of component. Yes, that's a great answer, Nimesh. Yes, that's a great answer. Yeah, that is correct, actually. Okay. Now, guys, let me tell you what exactly state is. So, state is nothing but something that holds data of a component, that holds the data of a component. So state is nothing but an object that will hold data of the component. So every component has its own state, and state is nothing but an object that holds data of a particular component. When I say data, it can be anything. It can be name, age, anything. Okay. So state is an object which holds data of a particular component, and every component has its own state. So now you can ask me a question, sir, then this is also data of the component. This is also data of the component. So why I'm not calling this as a state? Because this is also a variable and this is also holding data of this particular component. So why I'm not calling this state? So now there is a fine difference between both a normal data and a state data. Okay. So normal data is normal. Fine. If you change it, doesn't matter. You can use it internally. About state data. State is a special kind of data. If you change the value of a state data, the component re-renders, the component refreshes itself. So if you change the value of this variable, internally it can be used, but the component will not re-render for this. But if you change the value of a state variable, the component will re-render. Remember that, guys. The component will what? Will re-render. It will refresh itself. You can see the changes on the component on the spot directly. So whenever you change a state data, whenever you manipulate a state data, it will change it. So that's why we also consider state as a state of a component, because if it changes, the component also changes, right? So we can also call it a state of a component or the information of a component. But see, guys, this is also information of the component. Okay, but state is a kind of information, is a kind of data that if it changes, the component re-renders. Is it clear, everyone? Now time to see that in action. But are we understanding? State is also doing nothing. It's also basically storing your data that you're using inside the component. But the only difference between normal variable and a state variable is if a normal variable changes, nothing happens. Data is changed, but nothing has happened to the component. If a state variable changes, the component refreshes, re-renders itself. That's why we use state variables for a lot of things where we want the component to change if the data changes. Okay, I'll show you examples. Okay, guys, please focus, everyone, please focus. And also, let me remove this header that I'm using twice so that, and also let me comment the banner out so that we only see this output, so that we only see the simple output. It should not be confusing, right? So here we go. This is the output. Cool. Now, guys, focus. And also, let me remove this nav component for a second. And let me also remove this props data for a second. Okay, because I want to give you state example. Okay, so I don't want to get like, I don't want you guys to get confused. Okay, everyone. Now, see, focus, guys, focus. Now, let's say I create a function. Focus. Let's say I create a function in which I'm going to change the value of this name variable. Let's see. Function change name. And let's say I simply go ahead and change the value of name variable. Name equals to, let's say from let's upgrade, I make it YouTube. I'm changing the value of the name variable. Okay, let's call this function. So I'm also going to show you how to call a function in React. Okay, and for that, I'm going to create a button. So button, and how to call it? It's very simple. On click, again, JavaScript part, change name. Don't worry, we'll also talk more about calling functions tomorrow. But right now, let's just call it. That's it. Let's just call it. So on click, change name. Let's see what is happening. And see, guys, we have also displayed name here. Okay, so let's see. Okay, and let's also write something on the button. Change name. See, now here let's upgrade is displayed. Internally also the value is let's upgrade, but when I call the function, it will become YouTube. To confirm you this, let's also print it on the console. So console.log name. Let's also open the console in the side. Okay, now guys, focus. Everyone, focus. Change name. Here we go. Now you can see it's YouTube. That means the value of the name variable changed, but on the component, it is still let's upgrade. Why? Because the component is not refreshing itself. It's not re-rendering. It's not checking if the variable is changed or not. I don't care. So normal variables, that's why normal variables are always used for internal purposes, internal calculations, because they don't affect the component on the spot. Okay. And that's why you have something called as state variables. What if you want to display some data, but based on any actions or something, you want to, if that data changes, you also want to change the output in the component. Then what? And that's why you have state variables. So if you want to display some kind of data, and if that data changes, you want the data output to change as well. Instead of a normal variable, you create a state variable. How to do that? Let's see. Let's see how to create a state variable. But first of all, guys, are we understanding the concept till now? Please tell me, everyone. Come on, a quick answer, everyone. Are we understanding everything till now? Guys, quick answer. Okay. That's cool. That's amazing. So now let me create a state variable. And for if you're using a functional component, and if you want to create a state variable, okay, so what you have to do is you have to use a hook. Okay, again, it's a completely new word for you guys. So let me tell you what is a hook. It's nothing. It's very simple to understand. So it's only in React. Okay, so what is a hook? Hook is nothing but functionality. That's it. Hook, guys, see, hook is just a term. It's not a programming concept. It is just a term that React has given to a functionality that is available in build that you use. That's it. So what React says is you're using it, that means you're hooked to it. That's why they call this functionality as a hook. So hook is nothing but an inbuilt function, or you can also create your own functions in future, but it's nothing but a function that you're connecting your component to. You're using it in your component. It basically means you're hooking to that particular function. That's why React calls it as a hook. You're hooking to that component. Okay, but remember guys, hook is nothing but a functionality. They have just given it a name. They can also call it normal inbuilt function. I don't know why they call it hook, but simple. They have just given a unique name so that it's more kind of an understandable. Okay, so they have just given it a name so that it sounds different and better. That's it. But at the end, guys, hook is nothing but a functionality that you use, that you get connected to, that you're hooked to. That's it. So now there is an inbuilt hook. Now, when I say there is an inbuilt hook, that means it's an inbuilt function. That's it. So there's an inbuilt function that is available that will help you to create state variables. Okay, so first of all, you have to import that function if you want to use it. So that function again comes from the React package. So import, the function name is use state. And it comes from the React package as well. So from React. That's it. So import use state from React. And now you're going to use this function to create a state variable. How to do that? Let me show you. So see, this is how you create a normal variable, right? Now let's get a state variable and let's call it like country. Let's call it country. So how you create a state variable? Focus, guys. You do it like this. Let first the name of your variable, country. Then you have to pass the name of a function that you're going to use to change the value of this variable. This is the only function that you will use. So this is the name of the function, guys. This is the name of the function. And then equals use state. And then here you pass the initial value of your variable. So let me pass India. That's it. So this is your variable name, just like name. This is the only function that you can use now to change the value of this particular variable. So see the formation, guys. If the variable name is country, the function name is set country. If the variable name is age, you can call the function as set age. Okay, it's a standard that you have to follow. And then use state and then the initial value. And by that, this country variable is now a state variable. That means if this changes, the component will re-render. And to change the value of this variable, you should always only use this function. If you change it normally, it will not work. You have to use this function only. Okay. Now then, let's test it. Let's remove this. Okay. And initially it is India, right? Let's also display it somewhere. So let's create a P. Okay. And let's display that state variable here. Let's see if it is working till now. So let's call country. Let's see if it is working, everyone. Save it. Here we go. See, don't worry about this, all these warnings. This is all about, we have defined a nav component, but we are not using it, all of that. So don't worry about it. See this? Now we have India here, right? We have India. That's cool. That's amazing. Now let's try to change it. So let's do that in this function only. And as I told you, to change the value of this variable, you only have to use this function. So how to use it? So inside the change name function that is getting called on the button click, I call my set country function. So set country, and then inside this, you can pass the new country name that you want to pass. So let me for now just pass Australia. Set country Australia. That means internally, it is going to change the value of the country variable from India to Australia. Think of it like this. Think of it like we created something like this. Country equals to India. And now we are changing it to country equals to Australia. But since it is a state variable, so there are a few ways that you have to follow. So to initialize it, you use use state, and to change it, you use only this function. And now let's check it. Everyone, please focus. Now see the magic. Focus on India now. Here we go. See, on the spot, the output got changed because the whole component re-render. Remember, the whole component refreshed itself. You cannot see all the changes because all of them are same. Previously also it was header. Now it is header. Previously also it was let's upgrade. Now also it is let's upgrade. Only previously it was India and now it is Australia. So you got to see the effect there. But remember, the whole component is re-rendered. Not only the country name. No, the whole component is re-rendered, refreshed. Is it cleared, everyone? So you saw the difference, right? Everyone? You just saw the difference between a normal variable and a state variable. So that's how you create a state variable. You should always create it using use state hook or use state function. And you go like this. So let an array notation, first the variable name, second the function name that you're going to use to change this variable's value, and then use state and the initial value. Okay, and then wherever you want to change it, use this. Displaying is normal, just like you display a normal variable, you can display a state variable. You can use a state variable, just like you work with normal variable. So guys, are we cleared? Everyone, are we cleared? Please tell me. So just to tell you, like just to finish it, in a normal variable, you store data that you want to use internally. In a state variable, you store data that you're using for displaying purpose. And if that data changes, you also want to change the output. So that's what you store in a state variable. And for normal internal calculations, you can create normal variables. That's fine. So everyone, all the 50 people watching, please tell me, are we cleared with how to manage state variables? And you can create n number of state variables depending on your needs. In this case, I have only created one variable. You can create 10, 20, 30 variables. It depends on your needs. Okay. So guys, are we cleared? Everyone, please tell me. Everyone, I want everyone to answer. Okay, that is amazing. That is amazing because we are almost reaching the end of our time today. Okay. So now we have to meet again tomorrow and we'll do a lot of stuff again. So tomorrow we'll see how to use this state in a much more better way. And tomorrow we'll also talk about one more hook. So today we only talked about one hook, that is use state. Tomorrow we'll talk about one more hook. Okay, so don't worry. We're also going to talk about one more hook that is very important. And a lot of people find that hook confusing. Okay, so please, you guys have to tune in again tomorrow so that you can again like understand that hook in a better way and like understand it properly. Okay, so there is one more hook that a lot of people find confusing, and I'm going to teach that tomorrow. Okay, and one more thing, guys. Okay, if you're interested in the advanced courses, see, this is just a React essential. So we're only learning the React fundamentals. If you want to go in depth with me, and if you want to learn how to build big projects like Instagram clone and job portals and everything, how to build all of that, you can join our advanced courses where I'll teach you everything from scratch, from HTML till the end, at the end where you can actually create your own Facebook and Instagram easily. So it is a 6 months long course, and once you join in 25,600 rupees, so the fees is only 25,600. Once you join, you can attend all my live sessions that happen every day, and also you get also act like you also get the access to all the other courses. So you can attend my live courses, plus you get access to all the courses like full stack Python, full stack app development, full stack data science, everything. So if you want, if you're interested, you can join in there, and normally you can continue this essential for the next 3 days as well. Sir, how much years of experience you have in React or web dev? If you talk about web dev, I'm doing it from like around 2016. Okay. And if you talk about React, I'm doing it from the last 2.5 years. Okay. So web dev, I'm doing it from 2016 when I started with normal HTML, CSS, and JS. Okay, and initially I was using PHP. It is one of my favorite languages. Nowadays I don't even use it, but when I started, it was one of my favorite languages. So PHP is like my love. Okay, and after that I like got into JavaScript, so I started learning JS frameworks. Then I started with Angular actually. So in the first year I used and learned Angular a lot, and after that I also learned React, and now I use both. I use Angular, React, both. I work with them, I create projects in them. Okay, and I also use React Native for application development and Flutter also. And don't worry, in future we are also planning essential for that, so we're also going to use all of that. Okay, so that's it, guys. We're almost about time today. That's it. I really hope that you understood everything, and the most important question, I really hope that you enjoyed the session. So please let me in the chat, did you enjoy the session or not? Okay, and that's it for today, and I'll see all of you tomorrow exactly at same time, where we'll discuss about one more hook, where we'll go a little more deeper in, what do you say, states. Okay, and I'm seeing a lot less actually numbers nowadays, so please guys, tell all of your friends and family to also join, whoever is IT field, or whoever is interested in learning all of these. Tell them to join so that they can also learn something, right? Okay, please everyone. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for learning with me. I hope you're enjoying it. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see all of you tomorrow, and please register to the course, and please mark your attendance, everyone. So the link is in the chat. Please register to the course, and if you want to join the full stack program, you can also just there is a link in the chat. You can just go on that link, register yourself, and we'll talk to you personally. Okay, so please fill the attendance form and please also register to the course, because I'm going to mail all of this today. So if you want to get it, please register to the course, and I'll also mail the assignment question. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. That's it, guys. Bye bye. See you tomorrow, everyone. Have a great night. Bye bye, guys.